Welcome to How to Start a Website 2.0. You can find the blog article that goes with this session at howtostartawebsite2.com/free vpaid. So in this session, we're going to go over whether you should go with paid hosting or free and how to decide. So first of all, what are the benefits of going with free hosting, like with WordPress.com? Well, the biggest benefit is probably that there's no money lost if your idea doesn't work out as planned. It's easy to shut down the site if you decide to call it quits. Just cancel your account and the site is gone. It's not as technically challenging as going with a paid domain and hosting. Once you log into your account, the dashboard's right there and everything you need is in place. There's no code to mess with or to screw up, so there's less to learn. Backups are usually done for you, especially I know WordPress.com takes care of all backups, so you never lose your content. Other benefits of free? Well, it's just not possible to break your site. You're not allowed to play with the PHP code. You're not allowed to upload plugins, so there's nothing that you can mess up. The other nice thing is many of these hosting services, like WordPress.com, they're like a community within themselves. You're able to search other websites that are using that platform by your interests. So by building a site there, it's much easier to attract traffic. And so you might become more popular faster within a community like that. The other great thing is you don't need to know HTML, PHP, CSS. If you don't know what those even mean, great, because you don't have to mess with it. And obviously, if you've been really hesitant about whether or not blogging is for you, well, if you go free, it's a good way to test the waters. That way, if you find after a couple of months you don't like it, well, you didn't spend any money. But with benefits, there are also pitfalls for going with free hosting. The biggest pitfall is if you don't follow the hosting site's policies, they can shut you down without warning. Then once that happens, your site is gone, your content's gone, and if you didn't have copies of it elsewhere, you don't have access to it anymore. The other big problem is, what if the hosting site suddenly decides that they're going to discontinue their free services, or what if they go out of business? Then you're forced to find new hosting and start over from scratch, and you'll have to learn a whole new platform. And if that happens, your existing content may not be easily transferable to that new platform. Now, some more pitfalls of free. You have very limited options of how you can design and set up your site. Basically, what's available inside your dashboard is it. You don't have the ability to upload themes from outside sources. So what's there? That's it. You don't like it? Oh well. The other problem is you're probably not going to be allowed to make money off of your site, especially with WordPress.com. You might not be allowed to install plugins or to change or improve the functionality of your site. The other big thing is when you go with free hosting, their name is usually somewhere in your URL address. So it's like, WordPress.com/your blog name, and so forth. So it's very obvious to the public that you're using a free platform unless you pay a fee to have that removed. And honestly, if you're going to pay a fee to lose that, you might as well go buy the domain name that you want and get hosting so that you can do everything that you want to do anyway. So let's go over the benefits of going with paid hosting. Personally, I use Bluehost, but let's run through this. So, like I was just saying before, if you go and get your own domain name, you totally control how that URL looks. Now, Obviously, the one caveat is it has to be available. If somebody else already owns it, you won't be able to get that exact same domain. So you may have to, tweak it or change it a little bit, but otherwise you control what that URL is going to say. The other nice thing is you have complete freedom to customize the site, make it look how you want, make it perform how you want. This includes being able to upload additional themes from outside of WordPress that might look better or function better. My personal favorite is the Studio Press Genesis child themes. That's what I use on my sites. The other really cool thing is, yes, if you want to be able to play with the PHP and CSS code, you will be able to. And, don't let not knowing how to do this stuff scare you, because when I was first starting out, I thought to myself, it's been so long since I've done anything with any kind of coding. I mean, I used to play with HTML back in the 90s. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to want to dive into this stuff. I don't want to know anything about it. I've been out of it for too long. And you know what? It's really not as hard as you might think. I mean, anything you want to do, you Google it and you find somebody who's already written the code or explain what you have to do to change it. And you just plug it in, and most of the time it works. Now, obviously, if you're going to do stuff like that, you have to make backups of the pages you're changing, just in case you do break something. And that's what I was talking about earlier in the benefits of going free, is that you can't break your site. If you're gonna experiment with your PHP, there's that potential. But again, at first it's really scary, but it doesn't have to be. Once you know how to create your backups and reinstall them when you do break your site. Heck, there's been times when I've broken my site 4 and 5 times a night, and it was no big deal because I knew how, within seconds put things back so that it worked again. So don't let fear keep you from dabbling in the code, because there's so many things you can do to make your site perform precisely the way you want if you're willing to get, a little adventurous and dive in. And of course, the other great thing is being able to install plugins. Now, plugins usually take a lot of that needing to know how to code off your hands, because they've, like in this little itty bitty module, kind of done the coding for you. All you do is upload the plugin, maybe set a few settings, and it takes care of the out of sight, out of mind coding for you. So again, if you own your own hosting or your own domain and doing your own hosting, you have the ability to do this where you don't with going with a free hosting service. So more paid benefits, more benefits of going with paid hosting. Now, it's your site, so obviously, yes, you can make money with your site however you want to make money with it. You want to use AdSense or do other kinds of advertising to make money, you can do it. You can do product reviews and use affiliate links to help make money. Obviously, you can sell your own products. And another popular way of making money with a website is to have a membership site or to have a forum. Now, obviously, paid hosting has its own pitfalls, so let's go through those. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, depending on just how far you want to dive into things, it does require you to be a lot more technologically savvy. But again, don't let fear drive this decision. Everything can be figured out if you give yourself a chance and you're willing to take the time to learn it. The other pitfall is I totally understand that not everybody can just throw money around with the hope that maybe something will work. It will cost you approximately $100 for a domain name and your hosting for a year. So you may be hesitant to invest that money if it's really a struggle for you to put that money together to do it. The other thing is, obviously there's going to be a little bit of a longer learning curve to figure out how all of the moving parts fit together when doing your own domain and hosting. But I think the reward pays handsomely for taking that longer route. And the other thing that is I consider a big pitfall is if you decide you want to call it quits, it can be confusing to figure out how to cancel everything so that you're no longer getting billed. And here's where it really matters, because if you decide for whatever reason, let's say you really hit upon some hard financial times and there is no way you can let any of this stuff renew because you just don't have the money for it. Well, if you don't figure out how to cancel everything correctly, you're going to be billed again. So that can be, a bit annoying. But, again, as long as you're not afraid to pick up the phone and talk to someone and make sure that, everything's covered, everything's canceled, then, you shouldn't be afraid to go this route. So some other pitfalls for going with paid hosting. Well, you're going to be responsible for doing your own backups unless you pay your hosting service to do it for you. So if you didn't want to spend the first $100, you're probably not going to really want to have to pay somebody to do these backups for you. So you're going to have to learn how to do them yourself, and you're going to have to know how to restore them if you need to. And if you're going to play with your code, you're going to need to know how to do this stuff anyway. Some other pitfalls, well, obviously there is more chance for things to go wrong because you can put plugins on your site and they might conflict with each other. You might go into your code and, mess things up, and, as soon as you forget one semicolon or get one letter in the wrong place, and the site might not work. You go to your page and you get just this little error in the corner, and that's enough to make your heart race. So let me tell you. And you're going to be responsible for installing your own security so that you keep hackers from taking over your site. So when is free a good choice? Well, you might want to go with free if you don't know what you want your website to be about yet. It doesn't make any sense to pick a domain name if a couple months down the road you're like, oh yeah, okay, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this instead. If money's no object, well, who cares? It's like, $10-15 to buy a domain name. For some people, that's, nothing, or for other people, that's a big deal. So depending on where you fall with that, if you don't know what you want to do yet, you might be better off just getting your feet wet with free hosting first. And again, if the cost of the paid domain and the hosting is keeping you from starting, then start free. It's better to take some kind of action than none at all. Another reason for going free, if your fear of this technical stuff is so great that it's keeping you from starting, then take the free route first. Give yourself that boost of confidence that, maybe this isn't as hard as you thought it was, and then move up to doing your own domain and paid hosting. Now, another great reason for going free, if all you plan to do is hobby blog and you have absolutely no intentions of making money from it, you might as well go free. So when is paid the better choice? Well, you're going to want to go with paid hosting if you need absolute control over how your site looks and functions, performs, what it says, and obviously if you plan to make money from it, you're better off having your own paid domain and hosting. Another great reason for going straight to paid, well, the free sites don't behave exactly the way your paid hosting acts. So if you start out with free, you're learning how that works, And then as soon as you go over to paid, well, some things will be the same, but there's a whole, learning curve that you're going to have to go through all over again when you kind of thought you had this all figured out. So if you don't want to go through those growing pains twice, go straight to the paid choice. So you learn it once and you're done. Now, if you want to have a membership site or a forum, you're going to have to go with paid hosting. So, what to do next? If you go to howtostartawebsite2.com/free vpaid, you can download a worksheet that will help you assess which direction makes the most sense for you. If after, weighing the pros and cons of both, if you're still not sure, go through the worksheet. It'll help you like make a little tally for both, and to see where you fall on the spectrum. And honestly, whichever one gets the most marks, that's the one I think you should go with. A lot of times people get stuck on the fence of which should I do, and a lot of times it's just a matter of just choose one and move forward. Taking some kind of action is always better than taking no action at all and just staying stuck. No matter what, you're going to learn something. You're going to get something out of the experience. It's something you can take forward to your next experiment. So the best thing to do, pick one. Get off the fence and move on. So obviously, since I'm going to cover both, how to set up an account and set up a blog at WordPress.com, which is free. And I'm also going to show you how to get your own domain and your own hosting and install WordPress to have your own website set up that way. I'm going to cover you either way. I'm teaching you I'm teaching both. So whichever one is right for you, you'll be able to continue the training with me. But now's the time to decide. And if you're back at my website at howtostartawebsite2.com, there will be links below this post. The one link will take you to the free route, and the other link will take you for the paid hosting and domain. So thank you for watching and listening to another session from How to Start a Website 2.0. This episode is just one of many available inside my online course. Register for free today at howtostartawebsite2.com/thevault.